Hello everyone and welcome to Scorcery, a multiplayer-only party game mixed with like some sort of fictional sport dealy and Arkanoid a little bit, where the goal is to break the opposing team's skulls and protect your own skulls. Most importantly, I think the game's core mechanics are very solid. You know, you're basically throwing a ball around and you have to physically catch the ball by pressing R2 when it's within range of your arms. You cannot catch it otherwise, like you can't just bump into it to catch it. You can hold on to the ball for a little bit by holding R2 and then you let go of R2 to throw it. But if you hold on to the ball for too long, you get stunned because you're being a ball hog and you can't just hold on to the ball forever. That's not fair. So the foundation for a pretty cool party game right here, you throw the ball around in an Arkanoid style fashion to break the enemy's runes and try to protect your own runes by catching the ball as it's being thrown at your runes. But you can also activate special abilities that have varying effects on the ball and other players, and you get to choose those special abilities before a match starts. The special abilities have a cooldown, and the cooldown seems to vary depending on the usefulness of the ability. They seem to have tried to balance it, is what I'm saying. So it's a really cool idea for a party game based on a really simple set of mechanics about rebounding a ball around and hitting people's skulls with it. It encourages both aggressive play and passive play to varying degrees. And it is multiplayer only, but I do happen to have someone here with me to play it. We can't do 4-player, but we can do 1v1 matches. This is quick play, where everything is decided for you, including the spell you're going to use. But it should do to start things off. Something the tutorial didn't mention is that whenever you break a skull, it sends out a little lightning bolt that will stun you if you directly collide with it. You can of course jump to avoid it or switch gravity to avoid it. Now, instead of jumping, I prefer to switch gravity all the time because it's like a higher jump and it can more easily throw off your opponent in my experience. In my experience with a single person I played this game with, I mean. Might not want to take my word for it, because I don't actually win a match, but... Also, yes, I'm very aware that the screen is constantly shaking. I promise that although that is an intentional effect, it's much less noticeable on a TV. I didn't even realize how much the screen was shaking until I recorded video footage, but it's much less noticeable if you're playing on a television. Something about this game is that I'm aware it probably doesn't look great from a third-person perspective. Like, if you're just casually watching two other people play the game, it probably doesn't look as hectic and fun as it is, but it is really fun and really fast-paced, and stealing and blocking the ball is immensely satisfying. When you can reach the ball, that is. This game seems to have just been made for friends to have fun together and smile at it. And this is based on things the developer has said, and also the only trailers I could find, which are just two people playing the game and laughing at each other and smiling. Anyway, it's time for Exhibition, where we can actually choose our setup. There are 2 playable characters, though I think there's a third you can unlock by playing 100 matches. But I could not convince my brother to play 100 matches. The spell I'm going to be using as the Necromancer is Lockdown, which will immediately stop a ball right in its place, no matter where it is, which means I can recover the ball if it's about to hit my own skulls. We're going to choose the perimeter layout to switch things up a bit. But the purpose of Exhibition Mode is the same as Quick Play, in the sense that the idea is to destroy the enemy runes and leave yours standing. With the perimeter layout we're using here, we can't stand on the ceiling like we normally could. So, it's a lot more cramped, and the screen's going to be shaking a lot more. See, that's what Lockdown is for, is to stop the ball before it hits your runes. I just didn't get to it in time. But Lockdown is my favorite ability by far, because it's really fun seeing my brother react when I stop the ball just before it hits my own skull, like that, and then snatch it from him. It's really cool, that ability. It's a shame, you know... It's a shame it doesn't guarantee my victory or anything, because I still have to play the game better. But it's nice that you can do that thing I just did. It's pretty cool. So, it's worth mentioning that this game, I got a key for it, and I cannot find out if it's been released at all. The release date was apparently set for February of this year, but you can't seem to purchase it anywhere. And I got the key, So, you know, I was going to dedicate a portion to this video about talking, since this is a new game, about mentioning whether the price is worth the gameplay value, since it is a very simple game, multiplayer only, and it really depends on who you're playing with, because some people get tired of the game very easily, like my brother. Really didn't want to play too many matches of this. He thought it was fun, but he didn't want to play it, like, a lot or anything. Certainly not 100 matches of it. But I can't talk about how much it costs or anything, because I don't think you can buy it. If you, excuse me, if you could buy it on the developer's website, it says the intended price is $10, but it doesn't seem to be for sale anywhere. I'm not sure most people would be okay with spending $10 on this game. That's not to say I don't think it's worth $10, because obviously a lot of effort went into the game design, if not much else. But yeah, I think most people might think $10 is a little steep for this multiplayer-only party game with 4 game modes and 2 characters with presumably a single unlockable character. Anyway, it's time for my favorite game mode, Goaltender. The idea is simply to hit more skulls than your opponent before time runs out, and I like this one the most because it's just, you know, can I steal the ball from my friend, how fast can I steal it from my friend, and can I block him from hitting this single skull on the screen we're both chasing after. It's just way more action-packed than the regular mode. We're both using the speed spell, which predictably makes you go faster. Makes it a lot easier to maintain control of the ball and block the other player from getting the ball. But it also can be difficult to control if you're not used to it. Anyway, I think Scorcery from a game design standpoint, since we're almost done with Scorcery now, like it's almost over already, I think Scorcery from a game design standpoint is pretty great. I love the unique meshing of party game mechanics and traditional simplistic gameplay mechanics like Arkanoid. And even though there is a default rule set to the game that we're using right now, you can add modifiers to the game, such as making the ball go faster after each bounce, or you can turn on a setting that makes the ball affected by gravity, or you can turn on friendly fires so you can destroy your own skulls by accident. Stuff like that. I think the default rules are the best rules, and the game clearly seems to have been designed around them. But if you want to fuck shit up and add variety to the game, then, you know, that's what the modifiers are there for. I feel kind of bad, because I do get the game does not look great. Like, it doesn't look hyper-polished, and it probably doesn't look fun to play if you're just watching it. And I want to be clear, it is fun to play, and I would love to play it with people. It's just, it immensely depends on your tolerance and how fun you think the concept is, I guess. Like, I played maybe 10 matches with my brother before he didn't want to play anymore. And it is multiplayer only. I'm not going to blame the developer for that, because this game in particular seems like it would be absolute hell to make a bot for. Like, I don't even know how you'd go about programming a bot for a game like this. That just sounds ridiculously difficult. But yeah, I think it's cool. You've seen all of the game mechanics, most of the gimmicks and the powers, and you've seen all of the game modes. So in a sense, you've already seen all of the content the game has to offer. It's really more about how much mileage you can get out of it while playing with other people than the amount of content in it. Because from an objective standpoint, there's very little content, but since it's multiplayer focused, you know, the question is, how long are you going to play this with other people? And I'm like, assuming the key I got is representative of the final product, because, I mean, they gave me a key so I could make a video on the game. And they didn't, like, mention anything special that I should keep in mind. But yes, as I've said many times before, from a game design standpoint, I love Scorcery. From a content standpoint, I think most people would consider it pretty bare bones, but I mostly care about game design, so I think it's pretty good. It's a really solid concept, and the execution is, it matches up to the concept. It's at least as good as the concept, if not a little better. Oh wait, I forgot about the last game mode. That's awful that I forgot this game mode existed. It is the shortest one though, so, like, Shootout, you have a very limited number of shots. and you have to see who can destroy the most skulls with their limited number of shots. It's more like a puzzle game mode, I suppose. Let's try and choose the most difficult layout. We're gonna go with staggered. Forgot about this game mode entirely. I felt like I was missing one, but then I thought, surely not. But yeah, we each have 10 shots, and we have to see who can destroy the most skulls in 10 shots. That's about it. I'm glad I got to play the game. I had a fun time with it. But I kind of wonder, how long until another developer comes along and takes this concept and adds more modes, more skull layouts, more characters, and just more content in general? Without even changing the gameplay, I mean, because that seems like it would be something someone would do, is they'd see this concept and they'd be like, oh sweet, what an awesome multiplayer game concept, and then add more content to it than is present in Scorcery. It's not like this is the first time I played a multiplayer-focused game, a multiplayer-only game, where the content isn't massive, and it's more about how much mileage you get out of playing with people, because Big Crown Showdown was like that too. Scorcery is very similar in that respect. But yeah, I really care about preserving game design, and I don't see many people playing this game. I know that's a harsh thing to say, but I feel like I should probably preserve the design because the design of the game itself is really cool. So I should preserve it now while I can.